The password is.
The password is photography. Hey, everybody. Guess what? It's Thursday afternoon, and we're doing a podcast because Pam is bugging out and heading down to the peninsula.
I am the peninsula, the Florida Peninsula. Do kids know what peninsulas are anymore? I don't know that they do.
Not,
Do we?
not Pam, not my wife's kids. Island is even doubtful.
Yeah.
Definitely not peninsula, and isthmus, not a chance.
And then isthmus, yeah, I was gonna say. No. Remember the time we spent on that though as kids? Like
Isthmus.
it was serious stuff.
Like we had a geography. So we had when I was in elementary school, because we had to we bought books every year because I went to private school. So like when you came in, you had like a sealed, it was like in saran wrap or something like
Oh,
like a thing of books on your desk.
okay.
They were all consumables. So everybody had like a thing, like it was saran wrap on top, and you had books. And we had like a social studies book, but we also had a geography book, but it was just maps. And you had to do you did like a map every week, like the whole year, every year of elementary school. So I
remember the learning to read maps. Remember, like you got there was a lesson on the keys and what they meant and all of this.
It's a good skill. I mean, even with who could have thought what we have nowadays? Like you don't have to read a map. Even you don't even need an atlas anymore.
No, I love that meme where they said, like, to all my teachers who were like, why do we need to do this in math? And they're like, well, because you're not going to have a calculator all the time. Yeah, you do, right?
What were we doing? We're like 2 nights ago. I was with Pam, and we needed to know something, right? So I just yelled it out to SIRI, like just out.
Yes.
And like, bam, just told me the answer. Something so like random. And I'm like, we are the Jetsons, Pam. I'm like, I just yelled that stuff out in the middle of the living room with like the Echo answered it. Like 3 things. Google went off, like everything. Like I was like, everything wants to tell me the answers around this joint. Like
that's right.
We were teachers. Yeah, we were the teachers. Like, you need to know how to use the card catalog.
That's right.
Started.
Yes.
We're idiots.
You don't need to use the card catalog. Although I am glad I have that ability, I will say, like to be able to go in and find something like that. What do they use? So they use the computer to like find where a book will be.
Oh, see, now you don't. Now you use ChatGPT. Now what you need to learn, honestly, I really need to sit down with Mallory about this, even though she's a sophomore. I think this will be crucial for like her junior and senior year, and especially college. You need to learn how to really write a good prompt. It's not to cheat on ChatGPT, but what it gives you like the research to get started.
Yes, I agree.
What I've learned from what I've listened to podcasts, like tech podcasts, is that yes, it will give you stuff, but it'll give you hopefully it's a jumping point. It doesn't give you the entire paper because the teachers are smart enough, the instructors, especially in college, that they'll know.
You'll be able to dump it into a program to see if it's,
But at least it'll give you like some, it'll be basically like your encyclopedia article, but you got to have a good prompt to
that's know. Exactly. It's because I've used it some to help me with certain things, especially if we're like writing a new tip for our guests or whatnot, like to give me a jumping off point is typically where we're at that. And it is about writing the right prompt. And I will say, after many times using it to help me with certain things, I feel fairly safe in my job because you will see the answers that it spits out, and I'm like, it hasn't done that for like 10 years, so yeah.
Yeah, it's in its infancy, but it's got power, man.
It does.
It's about writing a correct prompt, and the more you use it, the more you're going to know like the nuances with the system, and it's going to get refined. But it's going quickly, man. It's crazy. Okay, so we're going to talk photography tips for sunrise and sunset. We can talk basically Walt Disney World, but we'll probably talk some cruise too today. So if you have any, jump in with us. I see we have quite a few people listening, so that are joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and the places. So that's good.
All the places.
Make sure our audio is okay. I forgot to check that.
I'm going to try.
Check 1 2 1 2. Let's see. Check 1 2 1. We're good. Dun, 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 dun. All right. 20. So this will be next Friday. This will be the Friday before Halloween.
Oh. What day of the week is
So
Halloween on this year?
Tuesday, I think. Following Tuesday. Yeah.
I better make sure that they're not doing trick or treat here while I'm gone. Hannah, it'll be like Hannah will be the only one here, and she'll be like, "I'm unprepared."
Give us the Reese's cups.
Right?
Kit Kats.
I need to get my Costco candy.
Yeah, we need something too. We don't have it here yet. Okay.
We can't get it too early.
I know, same because I'd be destroyed. Mallory, the other night, Mallory had a friend come over a couple days ago. Had a friend come over and they made cookies, like on just on the baking stone upstairs.
Yeah.
Every time I walk through the kitchen, there's 2 left, and they're not gonna make it till tonight. It's like it's just like Halloween, right? This is like once I finish them, I'll be better off. Oh shit, just throw them away. All right, here we go. 2, 3, 7. Welcome to episode 2. Let's try that again. Welcome to episode 2379 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. Hope you're getting ready for a great pre-Halloween weekend. So, if you're getting out there for the trunk or treats, or maybe your neighborhood or community celebrating Halloween, boo to you and have a good one. But remember, slow down and watch for all the little ghosts and goblins that are out there this weekend and have a good time. We're going to have a good time podcasting with you here. And we caught Pam Forrester before she headed down to Walt Disney World, where she is right now. So joining me today for a fun show, and you might want to have your iPhone handy because we're going to give you some photography tips to get your phone ready for your next vacation. We have Pam, co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel. What's up, Pam?
Hey, I know. I'm excited. I'm frantically, at that point where I'm shoving stuff in a suitcase and getting ready to head out. And I'm gonna say for like the people who have not seen me post about this on social media and talk about it here, packing cubes. I've been using them for probably 20 years now. Each family member has a different color, so that we all know what's ours, and they make packing so nice and organized. So
you say packing cubes. I say the night before, just throw all kinds of stuff into my Amazon 3-piece set of luggage and just sort it out once you hit Pop Century.
That's it. That's what you're gonna do.
Typically the way I roll. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it requires a quick trip to Target because you forgot something essential. You're like, oh man, forgot underwear.
That's bad. That's a bad.
Like, dude, could have forgot swim trunks. Nope, I didn't forget those, but I did forget that, and that sticks. And it's a 4. Do I ride this out for 4 days? Probably not. No, just kidding. So that's when you go to Target. So anyway, hey, Friday, what's going on? It's a wild show already. We're 3 minutes in. So we're going to have a good time today. I got to say something though, as we're recording this show, of course, just a little bit early because again, Pam and Ricky boogering out on me because they're going down to Walt Disney World. Scott volunteered to jump in on this one too, as well, but he's getting off a plane today on our normal recording day after flying all the way back from Hawaii, after doing all this cool stuff in Hawaii. I mean, he was lost in a maze at the Dole Plantation. He's been almost eaten by a dinosaur where they filmed Jurassic Park, and
yes.
He was on a computer. I guess I never saw Lost, but I guess he was on that Lost TV show, Apple IIe or something. I mean, he's been doing it all, living his best life at Alani, eating all the good food, like riding the lazy river, sitting at the beach. I dared him to surf the waves at the North Shore. Those waves would have killed him. But Wade and I were just egging him on. Dare you, dude, get a surfboard. Get out. He's like, dude, there's like 20-foot waves. I'm like,
right.
No guts, no glory, brother. Get out there. But anybody from the Midwest, you'd be dead in 5 seconds. So thank God he didn't get out there. But I mean, he's been living his best life. He's like, I'll do a show with you. So no, I don't think we're going to do a show today because I don't even know if he'd be coherent coming that far, that many time zones. So,
it's a long way.
So we're here a little bit early, But we did have some announcements for a couple days, or today, right before we recorded this show, about some of the treats coming this holiday season to Walt Disney
Oh my
World. And one of the
gosh.
things Pam and I are super pumped for, how about that Gertie Santa cookie?
I
Pam,
know.
I mean, is it going to taste as good as it looks?
I hope so. It looks really good. I will say, I am one who loves a good sugar cookie, first of all. I will say,
Same.
I'm like, it's a traditional one. It's not too sweet. It's a little buttery, like that whole thing. It's a great cookie, right? This one has a mint icing, or I read you could get it with mint ice cream too, right?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, I
like,
know. I knew that you would like that one. So
approved.
that's sort of an upgrade. It's an upgrade, but yes, I know. But in addition to that, there's some other things that look great too. Some good drinks. There's another sugar cookie one, that Christmas tree looking one that you've seen like all over. It's supposed to have pistachio, like buttercream and cranberries, and they just have been killing it for the seasonal treats lately at World. And I know we talk about this because Land has always had, some really enticing treats, and World has been getting more and more, and I'm here for it. So
it's wild though, because we're talking about this. Halloween is coming up on Tuesday, and we're already talking about, the Christmas treats we're going to be devouring here. Hopefully, if we have a holiday trip planned, which I don't this year, which is making me extremely sad. So I'm gonna have to bribe somebody because this is a portable treat, right? The Santa Gertie cookie. I mean, that can make it back very simply in a carry-on. So anybody like Paul here who's tuned in live on YouTube, who's watching us live, if you have a holiday trip, he's tuned in live from West St. Charles County. That is my county. We can make this happen. I can meet you on 94. Interstate 40. We can make it happen out here in the Westplex. If you're headed down, I'll meet you up for a Santa Gertie cookie if you make it down this holiday season. Now, Danny's tuned in live here. He's saying a shout out here, but he's in the Netherlands. That's a bit of a challenge.
that makes it more challenging. Yeah.
John Luther's tuned in live too. Shout out to him on Facebook. I think he's up in Pennsylvania out here, or he's up in the Northeast. So shout out to the folks who are tuned in watching us live on the social media report today live. But yeah, no, the holiday season though is always a fun time for the sweet treats and all that good stuff. So you're headed down. You're going to be doing some stuff this week, and then you're back for Jollywood nights.
Yes.
And preview of some of this cool stuff coming up. So you'll have a lot to share here soon, because you'll get the first night of the party, come back, and we can really dive into,
I know.
Does Kermit really still have his tap dancing skills, and
I know,
and all that stuff?
I love that they're pulling the Muppets in for Jollywood. I mean, there's going to be some really cool things happening in this party, and I knew I did not want to miss the first year that they're doing a new party. That's always, it's like the first year they're like, oh, the first year, like it was like the price was good. They did all this stuff. It was like, I was like,
they figured out how to really fleece you,
Right. The second year it'll still be good, but it'll be a little more expensive and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, I've learned my lesson. Been going there like all these years. I'm going to be there the first time. So anyways.
So do you think you'll get to do the Tip Top Bar? That experience of the Jollywood nights? Are they not doing something in the Tip Top Bar, that old thing that was over at the Tower of Terror? Did I not read that's going to be a thing?
In the bar?
Fever Dream?
No, it wasn't a fever dream. They do have a bar like at Hollywood Tower of Terror in the courtyard.
In the courtyard.
It's in the courtyard. Okay. Yeah. I think probably because they need the bigger space.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I know, but it looks like it's going to be cool. It looks like it's going to be like a lot of retro like things going too, like a speakeasy at the Brown Derby, and oh man,
you're reading the room there, because somebody figured out that people love the aesthetic of the studios at Christmas.
Yes,
like how they do that. I love the holidays at the studios.
Me too.
So perfect, like that 50s look.
I know.
And music is so perfect. And now they're embracing it even more. Like they're just home run.
I know. Get out your poodle skirts, my friends, and do it up. It just reminds you of like my grandmother.
It's 100%. It's not my grandparents I spent a lot of time with. It's the other set of grandparents. It's my mom's parents that had that stuff. It's
all that stuff.
Not the grandparents I was with a lot. They had more of my other grandparents had this stuff, and it, gives me those memories, which I love.
It does. It's like all that stuff. I remember my grandmother, like always, like when we would go there for holidays, she'd had on a skirt. And it wasn't like a poodle skirt or anything, but it was just like that style of skirt, like an A-line skirt and pumps on. And like then she would put on like an apron, over
Yeah.
top of whatever she was wearing. But she was so big into Christmas. Like I always remember Christmas just being a really big deal. And she had all the ornaments and all these little figurines and stuff like that. So yeah, it's that. It reminds me of her and that feeling. And I think probably there's a lot of other people that sort of feel the same. It's just like a cool Yule, right? You can play jazz music and big band music, and there were always holiday records on, like the holiday season started after Thanksgiving dinner. The holiday records started going on, right? And it was on the hi-fi that sat there in the living room, that huge piece of furniture.
They had the record player, and like you had to like lift the lid, and then you looked down, it had like an FM radio in there too with the knobbies.
Yes.
Yeah, same.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I remember as she got older, she would have to look for people to come fix the hi-fi. She would be like, "Oh, something's wrong with the hi-fi. I gotta find someone who can still fix this."
That's exactly what they had. Yeah, totally. Like the speakers were built. I think it was huge. I think it was about 8 feet long. It was like a couch.
It was a major piece of furniture. When you were thinking about how you're setting up your living room, the couch goes here, the chair goes here, the hi-fi takes up this whole wall.
But it was great. Yeah, I mean, it was just, it was a thing. I think it had a record player in there.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
yes, and you could stack like 3 or 4 records on it. Remember that?
Yes, you could. And you always had like Bing Crosby, like White Christmas in there. Oh my gosh. We got to talk about today's topic because we got to jump in here. But I'll just tell you, I want a Christmas tree with tinsel so bad. I've been wanting this for like 10 years. My Pam will not go for that. She's like, it's a mess. She's very particular about her Christmas tree. She won't even let me do colored lights. She wants white lights. And like,
well, you have to get more than one so you can do one.
I know. Like I do have, she lets me do like an ugly one in the basement, which is not the same because like I want the one by the TV upstairs. Like, but she wants her like beautiful,
picture perfect tree.
Exactly. And I'm of the like school that a Christmas tree is not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to have a couple of random blinky lights that are different colors that are this randomness, no pattern. Like
that one that
they don't have to be, everything doesn't have to be symmetrical. She's always like, she'll go back and look at the tree and be like, oh, the ornaments are distributed equally. Like, I don't care. It's a Christmas tree. It's not supposed to be perfect. No. And like she's fiddling with that sucker all the way up to Christmas Eve. It drives me wild. Because I just like it to be random. That's where we are way different when it comes to Christmas trees. But anyway, we have plenty of time. It's not even Halloween yet. I love Christmas though. But anyway, today we're going to talk about some tips for taking better pictures down at Walt Disney World, because that is an essential part of everybody's Disney vacation. We might even jump into the cruise line here for a few minutes, but mostly Walt Disney World. And I want to talk about golden hour. So golden hour is usually that hour kind of right before sunset, when you got this glow. It's such a special time where you can just get some amazing shots with the aid of just the perfect light. I'm also going to throw in sunrise. So we're basically going to talk sunrise, sunset-ish down at Walt Disney World. We're going to talk about locations where you can get some great shots with your family, or if you just want to take some landscapes, because there's awesome landscapes down at Walt Disney World. But I kind of want to start off, if you use an iPhone, which I do, and I know a lot of our listeners do, because I can see where you download the shows from. And the iPhone is definitely the dominant platform where people are getting our show. And I've been, I use my iPhone a lot, and I'm a tech kind of nerd. So I do some research on how to take good pictures with my iPhone. And one tip I want to give you is that there are some settings you can put on your iPhone if you want to take more. Now, some people have problems with this. Now, I know you've probably seen this with my pictures, but the thing is with golden hour pictures, and if you're taking landscapes like of sunsets and sunrises, I think this is where this kind of works even better. And it's, if you want to kind of pop your pictures just a little, just give them a little vibrancy, there's a way you can do it either when you take the picture, or you can do it post after the picture, like in post. Okay, so if you want to do it in post, I learned this from actually Pam's daughter, Hannah. There's a really free app. It's called Snapseed. And so you can do this with any picture. You just take the picture and then you can go in and use this app called Snapseed. It's by Google. And you just go in and you download the Snapseed app to your phone, and it lets you pick any photo you like out of your camera roll. And then you can apply any kind of filter to it. Of course, you can make it look like sepia or black and white or what have you, all that stuff. You guys all know what that stuff is. But you can pop it. You could make it one's called accentuate. It just kind of accentuates, like gives a little I don't know, just pops it a little differently. It's kind of a different contrast. So there's all kinds of ways, and you can see it before you apply it and hit the button. It just gives you like a preview, so you can see what you like. I think it looks, gives it a little flair for something like a landscape of a sunrise, a sunset. So that's how you can do it in post. But there is a way you can do this in real time with your iPhone. And what it is, when you have your camera open, your camera app on your iPhone, so when you're looking at it, so you can check this out later, at the top of when you have your iPhone, when you have your camera open, at the top, there's a little arrow that points up towards where your selfie camera is, or your notch, or your little pill. If you have like a 14 or a 15, if you push that, you'll get a yellow one that points down, a little arrow that points down. Then you're going to get at the bottom, right above the shutter button where you push the button to take the picture, you're going to get a 3 squares thing right there. Now, let me tell you what that is. Those are your filters you can put on real time onto your iPhone. And if you touch that, if you slide left or right, this gives you the option to put filters on your phone that will stay on in real time. So it gives you standard, rich contrast, vibrant, warm, cool. And those are right there built into your phone. So when you take them, it's in real time. So if you have a preference of how you want your pictures to look throughout your vacation, if you have a preference for them to kind of have like a little blue kind of tint to them, put the cool filter on. Warm, warm kind of has that brown or orangey feel to the background. Vibrant will pop it. Rich contrast really pops it. So use that at your own risk. Standard's what the base is, but you can do that right there on your phone. And actually, there's a setting also in the if you go into the settings app, the general settings app, and go to phone, or go to camera, you can lock it so that particular filter will stay all the time. So you don't have to ever change it. So that's one way you can do it. So it sticks and you never have to change it. All your pictures will be in that certain filter. So that's just one thing you could do. Pam, I don't know if you ever use filters. Some people do, some people don't. Some people hate them, but I think for a sunrise or a sunset, it can accentuate it, make it even look better. It's not huge, but it does kind of pop it.
I agree. I don't use filters when I'm like taking a selfie or doing whatever, because I would be that person. I would be the like filter. Yeah. The filter, like, mistake. Like she just filtered out half of her face, or, those pictures that they're like people, they're typically people younger than we are, right? Or posting a picture, a heavily edited selfie that they can see, and then people will call them on it and say, you use this filter or whatever. But I will say that was going to absolutely be one of my tips, is that no matter how great of a photo that you take, it is typically something that in the editing process afterwards, you can make a little better. And it doesn't have to be produced, overdone. We've all seen folks who like take those pictures and you're like, yeah, I've been in front of Cinderella's castle. It does not look like that. Those are not the right colors and all of that, right? But a little bit of editing, I think, can really help. And I'm not great at the editing process. Usually if I've taken a photo that I think could be really nice and is nice, but could be even better, I give it to Steve, and he edits. Yes,
you're right.
He does.
People are just born with that kind of, like, their brain works that way.
It's true. Yeah. But one of the apps that I use for editing afterwards is Lightroom. And when you use Lightroom, you can actually go and buy people's presets. So you look around, I mean, and you have to look and see what kind of preset you like, because there are definitely different looks, to different presets. And you'll see someone offering presets and like look through the portfolio and they're like, oh, I love the look of those photos. Like, I would love for my photos to look like that. And so you can actually buy their presets, and they usually aren't that expensive. Do not spend a lot of money on that, because you can usually find them for a decent price. But I think that that's sort of a no fail way to use that. Or even if Steve takes a photo and he edits it and I really like the look of it, because we share, like when he shares that photo with me and the Lightroom settings, then I can use that as well. So that's another way to do it too. But I think that that's a really sort of intuitive app. I think that's the problem, is what one person finds intuitive, another person may not. So you may have to play around with a few of these photo editors before you find one that you really like. But I do like Lightroom.
I like Lightroom too. And it's really getting, and I haven't used it a ton, but I've heard, because I listen to a lot of tech podcasts, that it's gotten really strong on mobile too. They really put an emphasis on their mobile
Yes.
app. So that's something too.
Yes, that's what I need, because if it's something I have to do after, like let's just say I have to get the photo on my computer and then edit it, that's never happening. Like, let's just be honest. The chances of me editing on my computer afterwards are about 2%. I'm doing most of my editing on my phone right then. So,
well, and I'll say too, with the mobile editing, that is something you can do if you get a good shot, and then you go to stand in line for 60 minutes to get on screen.
yes,
And that's a good time to edit a photo. It gives you something creative. I mean, you should probably be talking to the people around you that you're traveling with, but it's probably more constructive than hanging out on Twitter or Facebook. You are at least being creative in
that's
an
right.
instant, and you're doing something I enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? One other tip with that, you said, don't go too far. And I think that's a huge tip, because you can really get yourself in trouble if you go too far with filters and stuff like that. However, also, I think you can actually don't go too far, or go like to an extreme, like take a picture and then just turn it black and white, like on a gray day, like where there's clouds in the sky. Don't try to make it a pretty day. Make it black and white and embrace the clouds, and make it dramatic. You know what I'm saying? Like, because how many pictures do you see of Walt Disney World that are vibrantly popped with all these beautiful colors of balloons and, the bright blue sky, the puffy white clouds, and the beautiful colors of Cinderella Castle? Think about that. You see them all day, every day on social media. But how many black and white pictures do you see of Main Street USA? You know what I'm saying? And then add some contrast in there. How can you make that a shot that we haven't seen that's interesting? And also, don't take a shot maybe from eye level, maybe take a shot from the ground, or take a shot from way above, from up at the train station, different angles, different points of view. What's a shot we haven't seen that's going to be interesting? I think that will catch. I don't think you're trying to get likes on Instagram, but also when you get home, that'll be a picture that's worthy of hanging on your wall or just having on your desk, something that is interesting. You're always looking for an interesting shot.
I agree. I think that is something I'm constantly trying to remind myself. Like, when you're the different angles, I think really create different photos. And I think what it is for so many of us who travel to Walt Disney World is that we're looking for a way to capture what we are actually seeing, right? Like, so many times you take a photo and you're like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, that was what I took a photo of, but it's not really capturing the magic, this, that, the other thing. And I think that's what all of us are trying to do, like get that photo that really captures like the emotion and everything else that we're seeing in there. Because I know, when I go down tomorrow, I'm going to get off the plane and be like, dang, it's like the sun is brighter, the sky is bluer. It's like everything about this like just feels good. And is it me just thinking that, or is it really, that thing? It's always that kind of thing. You're trying to assess that, and capturing a photo that really does it justice is challenging sometimes. So
it's really challenging for like a lot of our listeners who've been on Main Street multiple times, right? And you, in your camera roll, you've walked those exact steps many times. You're like, I have this picture, right? I mean, I've stood in front of the partner statue and I've done it with the people I'm with, but again, get a different angle. And a lot of times, there's different decorations on the castle depending on the celebration. So make sure you get that, if there's something going on, the different back, just they've taken away the emblems now from those golden little statues that
Yeah.
interact, whatever those were called. Things to me, I'm very much one of those people that I like to look back at my photos from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and see how the parks have changed. So I like to take pictures of things throughout the years that I know will, give me a point to go back to, a time reference, like, wow, a sign of dinosaur back when it was called like Countdown to Extinction. Like I get a huge kick out of that. Not too many people do, but that's kind of stuff I like, the primeval world, being there, that's right now, it's just a big old nothing. It's just stuff
Right.
like that, so document things too. But so we were talking about sunrise and sunset pictures again, pop them. But where do you think are some good spots people might not have thought of to get sunrise and sunset pictures? That, I mean, obviously we could talk, some of the basic places, but what popped in your head first?
So I will say the resorts really offer some great locations, and I think all of the resorts do. And one of the reasons why I think the locations are so good at the resorts is so many of them have a body of water.
I suppose water is that's number one tip. Find water.
Yes,
Yes.
it's true. But so what for Coronado? It has that beautiful lake in the middle, right? And depending on what time of day and where you are, the Grandestino Tower, the reflection of Grandestino Tower and the ability to catch Grandestino Tower too is so cool. And when you're up, especially if you're up in the morning, like right before sunrise, because I'll be honest, there aren't a lot of people up there with you.
100%. It's shocking how few people are.
I know.
How many people are at Walt Disney World, right? I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people, and sometimes at sunrise, you're the only one out there. Like at a resort, there's thousands of people there. Like, I mean, like odds are more people should be up. But
I know, I agree. So it's just, I think that location is really good. It has some great locations. Not only can you get Grandestino, but if you can get also the pool area. Now, typically the pool won't be open at sunrise, but you can usually catch it over the fence, right? And get a picture of the pyramid in the pool too, because that pyramid shot at the pool there is a really compelling shot, I think. It's such a themed pool area. And if you can get a reflection of it, or catch some of it, with like a water fountain right there or whatever. I think Coronado just has a ton of great photo locations. And we've talked about this, Mike, because it has 3 distinct areas and the tower, it really offers like, it looks like you're at a different resort, like all 3. One is the Cabana section is more like a tropical section. The Rancho section is a more like southeast or a southwest, sort of feel to it. Then you have the Casitas, which seems, more themed in that space too. And then you have Grandestino Towers. I mean, if I was a photographer, I could take, some great pictures over there at Coronado Springs.
I have so many pictures because now that with that new update on your iPhone, like you can put your phone in standby if you turn it on side, and then one of the options is it shows a slideshow, and all it shows is like Coronado pictures. Like, one, I stay there a lot, and plus, like I constantly take pictures of Coronado when I'm there because they're so good. It's because let me give you another hint for that too: sunrise and sunset shots over Coronado. If you want to get a good one, I like the body of water and shoot up towards the tower. But if you want to get something that looks really cool, this is kind of a neat little picture. Now, I don't think there's gators in that water, but I'm just saying, just have your head on a swivel just in case there would be. I don't think there are, but I mean, you never know. It's Florida. I'm always just like ready to run just in case. I've never had to. Remember, if you have to, zigzag. That's what I've always been told. I don't know. I'm from Missouri. Don't trust me. Here's the deal though. they have these flowers down by the water, and they're beautiful orange colored like
Yes.
flowers. And there's not a lot of them. They're here and there and everywhere, but there's not a lot of them, but they're just kind of scattered around the water. So what I
Uh-huh.
like to do is go down and get like that flower like in focus, and then the water's behind it with the tower, and in the tower kind of then does like a bouquet, so it's not really in focus. It's kind of like it's almost like a portrait mode, but it's because the flowers in the foreground, the water and the tower are kind of in the background. And then if you have like that beautiful like golden hour of sunrise or sunset, either way, and you can kind of see, the older part of Coronado with El Mercado and all that stuff. God, that is a great pic. And the thing
I
is,
have it on my phone. I'm gonna tell you.
very much. I have 100 of them. Like every
I
time
know.
I take that picture, it's the same dang picture I've had 100 times. Yeah, I bet a lot of our listeners do that. Like every
I
time I see,
know.
oh, there's that flower, I gotta take a picture again. I'm like, I got that 100 times. Same picture.
I know, but you're right. It is beautiful. And that's, I think, the portrait mode is such a cool thing, not for what you're close up taking a picture of, but for what's behind it. I always think that that's kind of that's a cool effect. And some people really do that well. So that's a really cool thing. How about you? Where's the spot
Yeah.
that you like
The
besides Coronado?
The water is kind of the key. Like sunrise pictures, I love. One of mine was going to be Riverside, and specifically
Oh
where I like
yeah.
to get it. I like to stand. It's in the mansions, and it's on the side. It's on the mansion side of Sassagoula River before or right at sunrise, right as dawn is breaking in the morning. And I know this isn't golden hour. Golden hour is in the evening, but we're just saying, like, when you have that special, like,
Yeah.
lighting, that special lighting. So the reason I like this is because before that first boat comes down the Sassagoula, the river there it's glass. If you've ever stayed there and seen it before that first boat comes down, it is just like a sheet of glass. I mean, it is just a reflection. It is so perfectly still. And the thing about this is you get real earthy tones over at Riverside when you're taking this picture, and you get these really cool lines in your picture with those paths, because you have a path on the left of the river, you have a path on the right of the river. They're not perfectly straight though. They're kind of
Hmm.
meandering paths, brown colored paths. You have bright green grass on either side of the paths, and you have this brownish colored river that's reflecting the first light of the day. And one of the things I love about my pictures at Riverside is I always get one of those bridges in the picture. And I think those pedestrian bridges that go over the Sassagoula are so cool looking because they're brown, and they're basically kind of made out of like railroad ties, that real thick
Right.
like 4x4 wood. And I just think, if you get some of those trees in the background with some Spanish moss hanging down and that light just coming over, because if you're facing French Quarter from Riverside, like from the mansions and shooting right down the Sassagoula River, you are shooting east, and that's where that sunrise is popping. It's gorgeous. And like you say, there's nobody around. It's shocking in the morning. But yeah, Riverside offers awesome like sunrise pictures.
And it's a great location too because you have that really cool water wheel. You have the water tower that there for that location. And I think their pool area is so cool. It's like this sort of old swimming hole kind of thing. It has water coming down, and I think water, whether it's still or moving, is really very interesting to see in photos. It just, sort of takes your eye to it, and love that. So yeah, I think Port Orleans is a great location.
Let me ask you this, because you use an iPhone too. You shoot with an iPhone. Do you keep live photos on?
Sometimes. And I did because of actually something that I had seen. It was like a photography tip, and it had to do with water, how you can make, it look the water, like
Yeah,
if
I
you
mean,
just
blue
shoot in a waterfall or
pic-
something like that. And I thought that was really interesting. So I have used that, but as a general rule, no, I usually have it off.
See, I usually do keep it on almost all the time, because sometimes it's just fun to get that like 2 seconds of video. Because like I keep it on as a rule on my phones, and like it's fun when I'm taking pictures of like football games. I'm trying to take a great still of like kickoff, but I get in that like
Yeah.
that 1 second or a second and a half, you get some kind of an action that you weren't expecting. And at Walt Disney World, you might
Right.
get a duck like
Right.
flying through or something. You never know. And it
Exactly.
doesn't really cost me anything. It's kind of a neat thing to think about with the live photos, especially when you mention like a water wheel. Because there
Yes.
are options. I don't know if you know that in your iPhone where you can go in, you can make it like bounce, you can make it loop,
Yep.
and you can do really cool stuff with live photos. So that's just another setting up in the upper right hand corner. You can just click and boom, turn live photos on. And that, again, I think a Disney vacation is a great opportunity to play around with your phone, right? You're away from the house, you're not working. And, this could be the time you really embrace photography and you find out you really have an eye for it and it's something you enjoy.
Agreed.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of
I
times we have these expensive phones and we always take the same picture. We don't use any because they do so much, and we only use we just push the white button. We don't experiment and see like really what they can do. One other tip I'll throw out there real quick. Right before we did the show, I took Riley out for her afternoon restroom break, and I knew we were doing this show, so I tried out some of these tips because it's fall here in Missouri. And so I just shot some pictures of the trees, of the leaves changing. And so I was looking, I took a shot of that tree and looked at the picture and saw what I thought of the colors, with this filter and that filter. So before you go on vacation, just do a little photo walk in your neighborhood and try this filter and that filter. And then, that evening, sit on the couch and compare and contrast and see what you like best. See like what your flavor is. Like, what are your likings? And then when you go down, you kind of have an idea of what your palette is already before you hit the ground. Yeah,
yeah.
Orlando. That's something
That's a great tip.
it's fun to give you something to do when you're walking the dog or whatever. So let's talk sunset. I have a great shot that I think some people might have, but I love this is one of my favorite pictures at sunset at Walt Disney World. And it's Cinderella Castle, but it's not exactly what you're probably thinking. I like to get up on Cinderella Castle and stand like right at the gates or whatever, like if you're coming through the castle from Fantasyland towards Main Street USA, stop right there at the front of the castle and look down on Main Street USA towards Town Square. I love that shot. It's sunset, like because you have those like little white popcorn lights on Main
Yeah.
Street USA. You have all the activity of people in the hub. And it's just such a cool, and the lighting, like, because it's not totally dark, it's sunset, but the popcorn lights are popping. You still have sometimes the flags are still up, sometimes they're not. It depends when they take them down. But that's a cool shot for me. And because you're elevated there a little bit and you can kind of look down, because most people are taking the picture the opposite way, right? People are taking the picture from Main Street up to the castle. You're taking it from the castle towards the train station. That's kind of a fun shot.
Oh, yeah, that's a really cool shot. And I think too, it's like you said, it's something that a lot of people aren't going to get. But I love that time, when you still have light out and the lights are starting to come on at whatever park you're at. I think that's a fantastic time to really sort of capture this, so the golden hour time. And I have a similar shot that I like to take, but it's on it's walking into Hollywood Studios when the neon first comes on.
Yes.
And you can see that in the background. And I think that's one of the few times, most of the time when you take a photo, if you're editing it, you're going to want more exposure, right? But I think really at that point in time, sometimes you can actually drop down the light in your photos, like increase, the black, color in the there's a setting on there, you'll see it, that it makes it look darker than it is, because once it gets really dark, sometimes that neon and the moving lights is really hard to capture, but it's not as hard to capture right during that golden hour time. And those lights are on, and the neon, I think, in Hollywood Studios just lends itself to great photos. It's just so cool. You don't see neon now like you did at other points in time. Like, it's not quite the novelty, right? It was then. I hope that they never switch to like LED or something.
I know. It scares me to death because it's probably cheaper. It's so much more efficient. But
Yes.
it doesn't. Again, it's just like it. We just talked 10 minutes at the top of the show with our love and nostalgia and, the feel of how 70s Christmas was with us. But, you're right. It's not efficient, but there's a vibe, there's a feel,
Yeah.
with neon. And but that like somebody saying,
Oh, yes.
dang, those bulbs are so hard to get, and they're 7,000, times more expensive to run every night. We could save $10,000 a year running LED lights.
Right.
Don't
There's
do
been
it.
conversations, I'm sure,
Oh,
but yeah, there's just something about this. And so that main walk, you can see the theater at the end of the street. You can see the neon. You can see Pluto, tail moving. You can see the watch. You can see all of that stuff that just really says Hollywood Studios. So I hope we get to keep that for a long time.
I agree. A couple more just real quick because we're running a little long here, but again, we're hitting a lot of the obvious things to take pictures of, but Spaceship Earth. I mean, because the thing is how tall it is and the reflectivity of each one of those tiles and just how it's constructed, right? And especially now that they have I forgot what the beacons of light, the little
Yeah.
they will turn those on right at sunset. So if you can catch those initially on while there's still some glimpses of sunset and that sun is, hitting, because it's sunset again, the light's hitting Spaceship Earth at all these different funky angles because of just how all those little triangles are set up on Spaceship Earth. It gives you a unique perspective because you have light bouncing here, there, and everywhere. So you might have one panel that looks kind of purpley, another panel that looks like a dark purple hue, one's kind of a lighter purple hue, one's kind of silver. And then you could really play with that in post if you want to, but you're going to get great shots off the camera on that one. But that's a great one. And again, with Spaceship Earth, that's a whole thing. That's a whole nother show, is that you can take that from so many different angles. You can take it from directly under it. You can take it from way out, by guest relations. I mean, you can get it from, there's so many, you can get the, that prism in there. You can get it from further out by the, the ticket booth, touch points, but
the fountain in the foreground.
Flags look good on a windy
Yes.
day, but sunset just offers this opportunity because with each passing minute, the picture changes. I mean, because of the angles of the light hitting those triangles, and there's so many different angles. I mean, it's just, it's crazy because it's always changing because of the angles. So that's great.
I agree. So my next location, and this is challenging, but it's worth doing, is Kilimanjaro safaris. If you get some opportunities to get, some shots with the dwindling light and the animals, and even just that savannah.
If you get a picture of that honey badger, that'd be
no, I know. It's such a great place to capture the sunset that, remember, for a little while, Animal Kingdom had put in an artificial sunset there.
The LEDs, we had one there.
They took us down there for that media event, and they showed us that sunset, and Mike and I were sort of like looking at each other like, I'm a little underwhelmed here.
I mean, how you gonna put the whole thing? I was thinking was like, man, this is a big old savannah. Like, I don't care how big that LED is, you can't have a big enough sunset for like a savannah. Like, this thing is like, it's just, I mean, scale, people, scale. Not gonna work.
And it didn't. Whatever happened with that? I haven't heard anything about that.
I'm trying to hear the honey badger. That's all.
Yes, exactly. But there are so many great opportunities on Kilimanjaro Safari that during the golden hour, those opportunities are just increased. Now, the thing I think that's important, and this is important especially in low light, is you have to know your camera's limitations. Like, you can't go on a dark ride like Pirates of the Caribbean and expect that you're going to get a million great photos, because you're moving, it's dark, the light is coming in from weird things. And that's the case too whenever there's a low light situation. Your camera can only just do so much, and you can't really edit to make some of these better. But guess what? You can take 100 photos on Kilimanjaro safaris each time you ride, and the ones you don't like, delete.
Yeah, they're not going to the photo mat like back in the day. I was like, man, that costs you a buck.
You don't have to pay 25 cents to develop each one. So
that was speaking of terrible. That was terrible. But I mean, again, play around with your phone because there are night settings that will let you take pictures without the flash. Now, again, it'll ask you like, how long do you want to keep the exposure? 1 second, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. But it does require in low light that you keep the camera extremely steady, which on a boat on Pirates of the Caribbean, near impossible. I mean, but that's where, people that are taking nighttime photography pictures, like your best tip for like people who are trying to take like fireworks photography, you need a tripod.
Yeah.
And you need to sit it on top of a trash can at worst case or something like that.
They aren't too bad though. There's collapsible tripods that'll probably collapse about the size of a tennis tennis ball can, and still be a good 4 or 5 feet high, but then allows you to set your camera on there and get some great photos and videos. And I think it's worth it for people who are really invested in this. Otherwise, you're just going to be, you can be just like the rest of us and hold your camera up there. And like you look through the photos at the end of it and be like, well, there's some good ones, there's some bad ones, but you just sort of taking your chances with that.
Well, digital pictures, like you said, I mean, just fire away and then just.
That's right.
Like Google Photos backup, it's so cheap. You know what I'm saying?
I know, right.
So cheap. Like I never delete anything off Google Photos, and I have so many bad pictures on there.
Agreed.
Terrible. Like I should go through and delete, because I delete them off my phone because that's real space.
Right. Yes.
All the bad ones still live there, so it's terrible. But
they do.
Hey, we should wrap because I know you got to go, and people have stuff to do for Halloween weekend. But I mean, just stuff to think about. Bottom line is, I say get out there. Play with, it's Halloween weekend. It's a good time to try low light photography. It's a good time to try, different settings on your phone, explore when you're taking pictures of your kids or your neighborhood or your setup for your house as you're sitting on your front porch, handing out candy, what have you. But just, the bottom line is you probably have, it doesn't have to be the latest phone. All these phones nowadays have so many features that we don't get to use. I always tell Pam, like, I don't use 90% of these features that are on my phone because I just don't dive into the settings and all these filters that are built in. But when I do, actually take the time to look at them, and when I'm on vacation, I actually have a few minutes that I'm not so busy when I'm at home. It's fun. This is one of those things that actually is kind of fun to explore, and then, get creative and put filters and try to take a color picture, make it black and white, and explore your creative side, and I think, sunrise and sunset's a great time to really get some amazing shots. And then you have something I like these pictures because you think about a souvenir to bring home. This is a moment in time that was special because you were there for that moment in time and you took the picture, so when you sit on your desk, it's not like something you bought at the Emporium. Like that was you standing there at Riverside, or that was you standing there, on Cinderella Castle or what have you. Like that's something that's even more special than a photo you can buy, or some kind of a sketch.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great memory. That's people always say, what's my favorite souvenir? And I'm like, the photos, the memories, the photos, that's the best part of it. So
other than that old Disney Cruise Line commercial, which you just reminded me of, my favorite souvenir.
Yes, right.
Mommy calls them our little souvenir.
That's a good one. That might
be one of the best Disney commercials of all time.
I know, for sure. They were thinking on that
one. Anyway, we are going to jump out of here, but we'll be back again on Monday with another fun show. And of course, Sunday night, we'll have the live call-in show. So give us a holler. Scott will be joining me. So that's 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central. We call it the BOGP open line. So join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We open up the phone lines and take your calls, and always have a great time. And you can give us your tips for sunrise and sunset photography down on Disney destinations. We'd love to hear from you. So join us then. Don't forget, our show is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We're standing by to help you plan a great Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney vacation. Just swing by the website this weekend while you're sitting on the porch, digging into those Reese's and Kit Kats. You're like, we're not going to have that many trick-or-treaters. I'm just going to eat one of these here myself while we're waiting. You pull your phone out. Check out the magicforless.com. There's great trip planning tools right there. You can use your phone right there to explore. And then while you're there, fill out the quote form with as much information as you have. Mention the show. You and I can plan that trip together. I promise you we'll have a good time. No cost to you. We'll get you a great vacation at the lowest cost possible. We're gonna get you that Disney destination so you can have a great time with your friends and family. So check them out today over at the magicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. I don't know if you can buy Kit Kats or Reese's there, but you probably can buy a Kiss costume like I wore in kindergarten. I don't know.
Yes,
But,
probably.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you could probably buy a Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift kind of costume. 100% probably on that. Get that rush to your house if you want to. I don't know what they're. Dude, they always
Hurry before they break up.
Yeah, they're probably broken up by now because we're recording early. That's probably not even a thing at this point. So yeah, whatever you're gonna buy, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our patrons. You guys are the best. You allow us to put out these shows, and man, I hope you always know we love doing this show. So thank you so much for that. And you get that bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Just visit us over at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast for more details. Give Pam a follow on the social media. She's always a lot of fun at TMFLT Pam on Twitter /X, Threads, and Instagram. Also, follow the Magic for Less Travel over there on Instagram as well. That's a great follow for some great video and creative stuff. So make sure you follow along there. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike, and we'd love to have you follow me on all the places this weekend as well. And that's about it. So we're going to cut you loose. And please come on back on Monday. We can't wait to talk to you there. So for Pam, I'm Mike, wishing you a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and boo to you. All right, that was fun. Good deal.
Good. Maybe
you could sneak that in before you got out of here.
Yes. All right, cool. I'll talk to you when I get back.
Tell Mickey I said hello.
All right, I will.
I'll see you.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.